We're all infected. We all carry it.
The Walking Dead.
Hey guys, welcome to review number 4. Today we're going to be reviewing both the Backlot Walking Dead experience and the Walking Dead No Safe Haven maze. First off, let's talk about the Backlot. The Backlot was good. It was really good, but it was a little disappointing at how much they used of the Backlot. I guess because during the day they only have so much space to use because of trams moving there during the day. So I don't really blame them for that. I was just hoping for a little more. As you get off the tram, you're greeted by walkers, similar to how the Terror Tram has been. And a little funny story real quick. Some of the walkers were crab walking towards the tram, and I did have to laugh because I guess my friend made the pun that they're crab walking. And I'm like, oh yeah, the walkers are crab walking towards us. A terrible pun. But it was just funny to see how agile some of these walkers were. So you're greeted by these walkers, and as you walk through, another pun, the strobe effects are going off from the fog, and it's okay during the day. As you're walking through, and then you go through the giant gate, and you're greeted with the streets of Atlanta, or what it was meant to be the streets of Atlanta, with a tank there, which is really cool. It's a full-size tank. And the walkers in military garb are attacking you. One guy actually made me jump because I didn't see him. He was underneath the tank. He came out and swiped me. So that did make me jump a little. But I'm telling you now, I still recommend going there first. Definitely do it as soon as the park opens. Go straight to the Backlot to do The Walking Dead. Because the maze itself gets to about 140 or higher during the evening, so it's really busy. However, I do recommend doing it during the evening, even if it's just to do that Walking Dead experience, because during the night, this is when it gets the most intense, because the darkness conceals that part of the Backlot. So you've got strobe effects going off of fog, and you can't even see the walkers half the time. They're so well concealed by both darkness and strobe effect and fog that it will make you jump. Even for a seasoned veteran of Halloween Horror Nights like myself, I don't really jump too much about in mazes or in scare zones, but this did make me jump because I couldn't see the walkers half the time. And so it was great. It was reliving some of my early years because I never had that since I first started going to Halloween Horror Nights. I used to be super jumpy, and now I'm kind of used to it. But now you can't even see like that far in front of your face. And these walkers will come right out of the fog into your face, and it makes you jump. And it was really effective. We got half my group as we're going through. So the best is during the evening, because as you get into where the Atlanta streets are with the tank and everything, you look up into the adjacent building, and you can see silhouettes of walkers walking through the thing, chasing survivors as they're trying to keep them at bay with bats. And there's flames up in the top of the building. Not real flames, again, silhouette flames, like buildings on fire, and it's really cool. So the best time to really do the Backlot experience is during the evening, for sure. I would probably, because it's a scare zone, out of 5, I would probably give this a 4 out of 5, going by the best experience, which is during the evening. However, I cannot lie to say I was a little disappointed with how less they used the Backlot, like the streets of New York. However, I can, from their perspective, understand why they couldn't use as much as they kind of made it out to be. So it was a lot of fun. And as we move to the maze, the first thing you see is the maze. The facade is fantastic. You get there, and it's the complete front of the prison. The fences are there as you in and out. There's zombies, some in riot gear that are on the fences trying to get at the guests. And it's literally, it feels like a prison the moment you actually walk through, because they're really constricted fences. So you're walking through and you've got walkers trying to push on the fence to get to you. And one of the really cool effects to this facade is that they have a full-size watchtower. It's there, it's on fire, like there's fire effects inside, and it looks great. And the front of the prison itself looks fantastic. You walk into the cell block this way, and depending on what time you go, they mix around the scare actors a little bit. So it's a different experience each time you go through, which is a lot of fun. Because even for me, who's been in it a few times, it changes constantly during the night. It changes zombie positions, and it's great because you're constantly having to look out for these. The cell block area is fantastic. And I'm not exaggerating it. It really does look fantastic. It looks exactly like the set in Walking Dead Season 3. It's there. It just looks great. It's so recognizable. And as a fan, I geeked out on this. It was just really good. It was really good. Again, like with Insidious, putting fandom aside, construction on this cell block looked great. The stairs going up to the second floor. I mean, even subtle details like the cell placements, and overall, it's such a cool opening to a maze. With a lot of mazes, it's a slow build up, especially like, for example, El Kukui, in that it's a very slow build up to scares. However, The Walking Dead just throws you in there and you hope for the best, because the action starts the minute you actually walk into the maze. You constantly getting attacked, and then you see familiar sets after that. But one of the coolest little gags that the maze actually has, and I really enjoyed this because the first time I went through, I wasn't expecting it. As you're walking through one of the corridors in the tombs, which is the corridors of the prison, there's an opening that's completely black. You can't even see inside. And as you're walking by, someone's on the other side with a trolley-like system with a bunch of walker statues. And there's about 5 or 6 all attached, and they're all coming out and with strobe effects, and it's great. It looks fantastic. You don't even need scare actors for this scene. It still gets you to jump because of how close they get with the statues. And not enough to bump you, but enough to actually get close enough to actually make you jump, because there's a lot and they're in different positions, and this is really cool. It's something you can't really do with scare actors all at once, so it's a very effective gag, and I think it was one of my favorite things about the maze in terms of scares. As you're walking through, you go through the famous boiler room. Season 3 people will know what I'm talking about. You've got the telephone ringing. You've got the baby wailing in the background, which is really disturbing and creepy given the environment. Then you've got the fat zombie. Now, the fat zombie is really disgusting to look at. Not as disgusting as the well zombie from last year's event, from last year's maze, sorry. But still, it's a very disgusting makeup. It's a great gag because it's close to the wall, so there's not much room to kind of avoid this scare. So it works really well. And as you're moving through, you get to the outside, where you see the downed helicopter. This is impressive because it was a real helicopter that they kind of tore apart, and you've got a walker that's cut in half, and he's trying to grab you. And then you got another walker. That's a distraction gag. And then suddenly you get attacked from the side from a regular walker. And so this is a great double team gag. And one of the cool things in this scene, especially for fans, is Michonne's pet zombies. And they're kind of hidden in the dark, but you can see them kind of clearly. But they're kind of disguised in where they are. And it's really cool because they kind of shuffle towards you. And it's enough to make you actually jump back a little. Even though they don't really speak too much, because obviously the lower mandibles, for those who don't know, the mandibles are missing, so they can't, and their arms, so they kind of shuffle toward you, and it actually kind of makes you jump, because where you walk through is close enough to the Michonne's walkers that they're close enough to get really close to you, and it's a great little scare gag because it's a distraction to another zombie attack, so this works really well. Now we get into my least favorite part of the maze, and I know I've talked highly of the sets in this maze, but this is where it's kind of disappointing. Now we get to Woodbury, and the best scene is the very first scene, and it's the man cave of the governor with the fish tanks with the heads. you've got a really cool gag is that they have one scare actor in there who's actually moving and chomping his teeth at the as the guests come through the maze. And then you have Penny that actually comes out with, I believe she has, no, she doesn't have the bag on her head, so she actually comes through and attacks the guests. So this really works because you're looking at the heads and then suddenly Penny comes out. So it's a great double gag. But again, this is possibly my favorite part of the Woodbury section because the rest is kind of disappointing. It's kind of generic. I guess as you move into the next areas, the finale as it was, I guess there's supposed to be the arena walker pens where the walkers are stored. I can't be certain on this. Maybe someone can clarify this. However, the feeling I got from going through was these were the walker pens and arenas. I believe this is so because in the Orlando attraction, they start in Woodbury, which is the arena section, and they move to the prison for the finale. However, with us, it's the complete reverse, going through the prison, then ending up in Woodbury. So it's disappointing in which it's very generic. It's just metal bars. There's pigs hanging. Like this one has hanging items. For example, I talked about Evil Dead had the dead cats. Well, this one has pigs and entrails and intestines. Really thick pieces too. They're not thin. They're actually big enough to actually get in your face. And funny story. I'm walking through and my friend jumps up at a walker, and she jumps back and she moves one of the pigs aside, and I'm looking at the walker kind of smiling, and then I look back and this pig just slaps me in the face. And that happened 3 times that night. And I'm like, it's just a pig curse, because we had a group in front of us, I guess husband and wife, they went through and they got hit by the pig too, so I'm like, oh, at least I'm not the only one. But yeah, you go through, and that's really it. The finale is just walking through this kind of tight zombie pen area. So it's a little disappointing. However, the maze in whole was really a lot of fun. This was one of the most fun mazes at Horror Nights this year. It's just a shame it gets so busy during the evening, so I heavily recommend, if you have not been yet, do The Walking Dead first, then Black Sabbath, and then just finish off the Backlot. If the maze is a little less later on, definitely do it again. It's definitely a returner maze. I should really start doing that review. I should start adding that to review if it's return worthy. So I'll do that really quickly. El Kukui, yeah, it depends on the night you go, and it depends on how late in the night, because sometimes the scare actors need a little warm up to get on. But the most return mazes, definitely Evil Dead and Insidious, are worth returning to. Walking Dead is definitely worth returning to. It was fantastic. The details alone, as a fan and a non-fan, would enjoy. And the scares were definitely there. They were definitely visceral. This was one of the mazes like Insidious that was very immersive. You felt like you were in an environment. You felt like you were in The Walking Dead, which was amazing. The environments definitely suck you in. So this maze, I would give an 8.5 out of 10. It would have gone a 9 had it not been. And again, this is all my personal opinion. If you love the maze entirely, don't worry. That's great. I just was a little disappointed with Woodbury's setup. However, it brought it down to half the score of what I would have given it, which would have been a 9 out of 10 had Woodbury been a bit more eventful, I would say. But again, I put that down to they only have so much space in terms of maze construction. But alas, it just didn't get me the last part. So, yeah, sets were great. Barring Woodbury, the prison was the most impressive part of the whole maze, and the outside was a bit of fun. The woodlands area that transitions into Woodbury was a lot of fun with Michonne's walkers and the helicopter. And the scare actors, great job. Every one of them hit their mark. Both nights I went. I'm hoping Sunday they'll be the same with great acting. So I have to give kudos to the scare actors. They were great. The facade was amazing. Even when you're waiting in line, which I think we waited in line the second night during the evening for about, I think 50 minutes, 40 minutes. It's definitely something to look at. And there's scare actors walking back and forth to actually watch, so at least you got a little bit of entertainment, unlike a lot of the other mazes where there's nothing really going on outside. So I would definitely give this an 8.5. Definitely a returner maze. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I hope you guys are enjoying these reviews. I'm open to any suggestions. Next review will be Black Sabbath. Now, this one, I'm going to be doing this with a guest. My friend Jen, the same person who gave me the great pictures of the merchandise for this year, who's also an employee at Universal. She's worked Horror Nights before as a scare actor. She will be. She personally asked me if she could do the Black Sabbath review with me, so I have agreed, and so I hope you guys look forward to that. So I'm thinking of doing an update video on Sunday for any changes in the mazes that I've already reviewed. I will be doing a special on the annual pass event with John Murdy, for example, the walkthrough of El Kukui in the daylight, the Q&A itself. So I will be posting a video on my thoughts on that and what happened, and I'm hoping to take some pictures of inside the maze so you guys will get to see the little details. I'll do a montage video for that, so it's just not necessarily me talking. I mean, I may do a little bit of commentary, but some pictures of the maze itself. So yeah, I hope you guys look forward to that.